So this is Pizza Tower, one of my all-time favorite indies currently. It's fantastic. There's really not much to say about it. Basic premise: you are the owner of a pizza restaurant named Peppino. Your little chef, this evil pizza shows up and is like, I want to use my tower to destroy your restaurant. What are you going to do about it? So you end up climbing the tower to try and ultimately defeat him. There's several different levels and bosses. It's very much in the style of Wario Land. I think Wario Land is the primary inspiration, with Sonic the Hedgehog being secondary, as you can see by the running cycle. But it plays almost identical to Wario Land in many, many ways. The level structure, the design. If you're not familiar with Wario Land, there are secrets in the levels, there are different treasures to find, but once you get to the end of the level, you have to rush back to the beginning. At least that's the standard that was established in Wario Land 4, which is, I think, considered the best. So this game follows that formula. You collect what you can, and you find secrets, and then you get to the end of the level, and you have to rush back before the timer runs out. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Usually I'm not a fan of games on a timer, but it's not the same as something like Majora's Mask, which I'm admittedly not a huge fan of. It's a lot more fun than that. It's got a really smooth gameplay loop. As I try to showcase some gameplay here, I showcase the tutorial a little bit in some of the first level. It's a lot of fun. As far as the controls are concerned, they're alright. I was using a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. I should also mention, by the way, before I keep going, this game is currently, as of the recording of this video, only available on Steam. If you're watching this video later on, it may have been ported to consoles, who knows? I hope it ends up being, but as of right now, it's just Steam, and boy do I hope this ends up on consoles, because what a great experience to have. These types of platformers really belong on console. Not that it's not fun on PC, it is, but they feel at home on consoles, and hopefully the team does well enough to where they can port this thing to Switch and to PlayStation and Xbox. But it's a fun game, and right here I'm struggling to kind of get up and do the wall run, because you have to do it at a certain angle. I finally pick it up, and ultimately the control comes to you as you continue to play it, but at first it feels very awkward in some areas. Some of the, like I showed there, some of the wall jumping, some of the diving, some of the upward movements. Sometimes you'll accidentally find yourself doing something because an input is tied to a certain direction. Like the up input does a charge jump, and sometimes you'll accidentally find yourself in the midst of a charge jump when you didn't mean to, or going through a door when you're trying to charge jump. That happened to me a couple times because I was so close to the door, but ultimately you get used to it. You know, it's got a unique feeling all of its own. You kind of have to learn how it plays, and then once you do, you get a feel for it. You know, that cornering that I just did, that ended up taking a lot of time to learn. I had to really learn how to time it. So there's a lot of stuff that you got to learn the timing of in order to experience the game the way it wants to. And I make it sound hard, but I can assure you it's not. It's really not a difficult game as far as learning its controls. It's not a Cuphead. Oh, the old Cuphead tutorial joke. Never gets old. But it's a lot of fun. It's certainly not as difficult as something like Cuphead in the beginning. I think it's got very balanced level scaling. I think as you go further into the tower, it gets more and more progressively difficult, and you have to really use your skills if you want to get a higher score at the end. But you can see I hit the living pillar thing there, and then got to rush back to the end. They give you some clocks and bells, some things to slow down your time, but a lot of levels seem to give you a generous amount of time for being able to get back to the beginning, but you have to deal with the obstacles. You know, the obstacles are usually in your way, whether it's enemies they pop out in front of you or walls. It really puts your platforming skills to the test. And the same was true of Wario Land, so very true to that. But I've got to gush about the visuals for a little bit, because the visuals of this game are just something spectacular. You know, the visuals are incredibly 90s inspired, along with the fantastic soundtrack. It's all very, very 90s. And as somebody who grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, as I've mentioned several times, this stuff hits a chord with me. Way more than 80s nostalgia. I can appreciate 80s nostalgia, but 90s is my jam. I love almost everything 90s. And I say almost because obviously not everything that came out of the decade was out of this world, but the aesthetic of this game being like a 90s cartoon and the soundtrack being out of the 90s in many ways. Being very, there's a little drum and bass, a little 90s techno. It's so good. So good. I can't praise that aspect of the game enough. On top of just having great gameplay, this game feels like it was made for someone like me. It really does, or by somebody from my generation, or who knows. I don't know too many details about the behind the scenes of the game. The game wasn't even on my radar for the longest time. You know, I hadn't heard of the game until I started seeing people playing it on YouTube and seeing people stream it and stuff like that. You know, and then I was like, man, this thing looks awesome. I got to try it. And so I picked it up just today, finally. I put it off from when I initially saw it. I put it off for about a month, and then I decided, well, I'm going to go pick it up now, and boy, is it worth it. I just wish it was on Switch, because it gets really, really cold where my computer setup is. It's actually in my basement, so it gets really cold down here in the winter. So I'm going to have to make sure I'm playing this during the day, because playing it at night, it gets really chilly. And even doing this commentary is tough, because I did a take of this earlier, and I was getting very congested, and it was getting hard to breathe. I don't know what the deal was. It almost sounded like I was crying, so I had to redo this. But ultimately, what you've got is a solid platformer that's got a lot of inspiration, and it feels higher quality than some AAA platformers I've seen. I just recently picked up Rayman Legends, the sequel to Origins, which I had on the Xbox, but I picked it up on Switch thinking it would be a nice holdover till I got this. And it's a decent game, but this feels better than that. This feels amazing. And Rayman Origins, or Rayman Legends, is a AAA game. This feels better than a AAA platformer. It does. I can see myself replaying this for a long time, but probably not until there's a console port, because as much as I like playing it on the PC, I like having the ability with the Switch to be able to play something like this on the go, or in multiple rooms of my house, or, you know, it just feels better on that sort of thing. So hopefully, with the amount of success, they're able to make some really good ports, or find a team that's able to port these games, or this game, rather, for them. Because, my goodness, it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. It is so much fun. I'm running out of things to say, other than it's fantastic. If I was to rate this game, I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, of course, no game is. I'd almost give it a 10 out of 10, but I haven't played it long enough to be able to make that judgment. I might run into a boss that really just ticks me off, or a level that I'm stuck on that causes me to quit for a while. I don't know. I've only played the first 2 levels. I haven't played too much more than that, which is why this isn't really a full game review. It's more of a first impressions. But who knows? If I can get through this game fairly decently, I wouldn't mind doing a Let's Play of it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think you guys would enjoy that, you know, and I certainly would. So I'll just have to spend some time with it and then let you know what I think, because it's really fun. It's as fun as it looks. It's a game that looks fun, and it sounds fun, and it is fun. There really aren't a lot of words to do it justice. It just is fun. Like I said, the controls aren't perfect, but once you get used to them, they're fine. They're not difficult, they're just unique. So, if you're going into it with the mindset that it controls like a Rayman Origins, or even like a Wario Land 4, you're mistaken. It very much is its own unique control system. And it's very impressive what they were able to do. It's extremely impressive. I think making it in Game Maker Studio? This takes advantage of Game Maker Studio in a wonderful way. It really does, and I absolutely love it. If we can get more talented people making games like this, I mean, the industry will be changed forever. It already has been changed forever. The AAA is struggling to keep up with games like this because they're just overnight hits, and they take some time to complete, especially if it's just one person, which don't quote me on this, but I believe this game was 1, if not 2 people. But it just goes to show you, 1 or 2 people with half the resources are turning out quality platformers, quality 2D, and in some cases 3D games. You know, people with talent are able to make something really, really cool and really special, and I love it. I absolutely love it. There need to be more games like this, and thankfully we're getting no shortage of them. So, anyways, that is my thoughts on Pizza Tower. Overall, spectacular game. Really don't have much bad to say about it. Would highly recommend it to anybody. Granted, you have a PC, or maybe wait and see if it goes on consoles. Just follow the website or the updates, and I won't tell you what they are. You just have to Google it yourself, because I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know if the game has a website. I don't think the dev has their own website. I think they just have a site for the game, or just a Twitter. So, you'll just have to keep Googling to see what they do with it. Hopefully they announce a console port. But, for now, if you've got a PC that can handle it, and it's not an intense game, so most PCs could probably handle it, then pick it up. It's only $20. It's not bad, $19.99. And it's well worth it. I think they're going to make their money back and then some. It's one of the top-selling games on Steam, and I hope it continues to climb the ranks and more people continue to discover it, because, my goodness, is it spectacular. It really is. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of clones of this game, a lot of knockoffs. There's a game being developed alongside this that takes from WarioWare 4's... Wario Land 4's visual style. I forget what it's called, but a lot of people were drawing comparisons as these two games were in development, but I think the developer of this game fully supports that one, so I'm looking forward to that too. I just can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up and then get back to you and put the name right above in this video. So, anyways, let me know what you think about Pizza Tower. Do you have any experience with it? Are you interested after seeing some of this gameplay? Do you want to play it? Is it something that's up your alley? Do you like the visuals, the music? What appeals to you about it? Thank you very much for watching, folks. This has been Super Koopa, and I will see you guys next time. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.